Am I audible? Right. So basically, what is academic writing? So it's in fact, let me just split it and give you a kind of an explanation about what academic writing is all about. So when you think about writing, writing is nothing but it's part of communication skills, right? So we talk, that's a speech, that's a speaking skill. Again, that's another communication skills. And then you have writing. This is again, it doesn't have voice, right? You have to speak only through language as a medium. And basically, what is the difference between in a communication skills between writing and speaking? Well, speaking, it's like, you have your body language, you have gestures where you can explain relevantly to your audience. And you will also see your audience. Sometimes you may not see the audience, but of course you are speaking to someone. You have your gestures, you have your kind of a lot of fillers as such. But when it comes to writing, writing is again a skill where you feel as if you are blindfolded. You are explaining it to somebody without knowing who it is, because you write it and someone or the audience or the readers will read it later on. So that is what it's one of the crucial part of writing skill, where you have to be, so perfect enough to kind of explain it to the people, the other audience there, to whomever you have intended to write. So that is writing. So when I just talk about just the writing. Now, when it comes to academic writing, so when you write for academics, then it is called academic writing. Now, when I say something like academic writing, what all things you come across? Like, you would have seen from day one, I think from your, no, just before going into it, let me tell you, like what other things you have in your syllabus. Just give you an overview, a glimpse of what has been given in your syllabus. That is writing short texts, writing an essay. You have 5 blocks here, which deals with shortening text for future use, assignments for assessment, mechanics of writing. These are the 5 blocks we'll be covering up in these 5 days, or the 5 classes, where today, tomorrow, again, next Friday, Saturday, and Sunday. So now, by doing this, by looking into this academic writing, basically, what do you get to know? You will understand academically what has to go into it, the nuances, the skills which have to go into this kind of a writing. So what are the things which are required to, it's more or less a formal kind of a writing. Now, when you are actually talking to someone, it can be an informal also, or, it can be a kind of both, in fact. It can be code switching also. Sometimes you switch on to another language. That is possible. But when you are writing, you stick on to one language, and that too in a formal style. So that is what is academic writing. So now, basically, what are the objectives of this course? That is to develop writing skills, to learn to integrate writing and thought, and to apply the conventions of academic writing correctly. And another objective of this course is to acquire the correct sense of format, syntax, grammar, punctuation, and spelling. Another, the chief aim of this course is to acquire the concepts, principles, and vocabulary of reasoning and argumentation, and use analysis, synthesis, and evaluation of advanced arguments to gain understanding of discourse conventions ranging from structure and paragraphing to tone and mechanics. Okay, let me just ask you a few questions where, if you are willing to answer, well and good. Otherwise, let me just give you a brief description. Like you would have noticed some kind of writings in your school age also. When you are in a school, you would have written précis. That is a kind of a condensed form of a material, précis writing, or you are well versed with essay writing. Yes. And then you also have well versed with writing assignments, or, kind of for various evaluative purposes. So writing, and that too academic writing, you are well versed with it from day one, from the time you've joined your school, maybe from the primary sections onwards. You are very much exposed to it. But the only difference is now that the name, which suggests as academic writing, that's kind of, might cause a kind of, a novelty to this nomenclature. Okay, you might find it, oh, what is this new thing, what we are coming across? So it is not very new. You are exposed to it as you were in your primary section, in the higher section, in the form of essay writing. And as you passed out your, higher classes, then maybe in your graduation, all you would have had written a paper or an article about something. Okay, or also report writing. This is also one familiar kind of a writing where you come across in your higher sections, higher classes, report writing. So, you know what exactly report writing is. That is what we come across in our newspapers every day, the report writing. So maybe they would have asked you people also to write report writing, kind of writing a report about something or an event, or, which has happened in your institution, organization, you write about it. So that is nothing but you are conveying it to somebody as to what has happened. So this is nothing but academic writing. Now, again, when we talk about academic writing, um, let me just tell you what exactly it is. Like, it's a formal style of writing that researchers and educators use in scholarly publications, and it focuses on evidence-based arguments and logical reasoning to guide a reader's understanding of a subject. Now, when I mean academic writing, it doesn't mean what what you believe in and you just put it on a paper. Not so. You have to, uh, convince your readers with proper evidence and, facts. Now, writers can use this format to identify and analyze a concept and and propose a theory or rational conclusion. Now, professionals may use scholarly writing differently depending on their field. For example, scientists use this type of writing, that is the academic writing or whatever you call this as, the research kind of a writing, to explain their research and support their findings, while literary critics use scholarly writing to make a convincing argument through fact-based research. Now, before I just get into the in-depth of this topic, let me just share the PPTs here. Now, if you still have any doubts regarding this academic writing, do let me know. So here we go with the academic writing and language. So
good afternoon, Dr. Revati.
Yes, good afternoon, madam. Good afternoon, ma'am. I just spotted you. Yes, ma'am.
Thank you so much. It's going on very well.
My pleasure, ma'am. Yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Dear students, kindly go through the lessons and encourage your friends as well. You're going to have the sessions on Friday, Saturday, and Sunday for the discipline-specific electives. Thank you so much, Dr. Revati, for encouraging friends.
Thank you, ma'am.
Please go ahead with your class. Thank you.
Thank you. Yes, ma'am. So basically, academic writing, it's a formal approach to assignments, formal structure following academic conventions, formal tone and use of language. Now, writing in an academic style is something that can be learned through guidance and conscientious practice. That is very, very important. I mean, with a proper practice, you can, kind of master the skill of writing, especially with academic, where you have the tone which has to be incorporated is the formal kind of an approach. Right. Now, the importance
Excuse me, ma'am.
Yeah, tell me, ma'am.
Like academic conventions, you said, no, ma'am.
Mm-hmm.
I didn't understand about that. Can you explain once again, ma'am?
Right. Okay. In an academic situations, you kind of where and all. Okay. When I talk about, like, for example, okay, your high school thing. Have you come across Tracy writing? Okay. Tracy
Yes, ma'am.
writing. Right. Very good. Note making, note taking. Yeah. All
Yes,
this.
ma'am.
Yeah. So, and maybe you would also come across essay writing.
Yes, ma'am.
Yes. So
No,
in
report writing and everything.
exactly, report writing, annual. I mean, sometimes you have a kind of an event in your institution, and then you write a report on that, right? Got it?
Yes,
So
ma'am.
yeah, so that is something to do with the academic writing. And another important aspect which I would like to mention here is, now this academic writing can be divided into two aspects. Like for the, now today I'll be just giving you the overview, right? The in-depth explanation will go on in the next class. Okay, overview of all the 5 modules which are there in your syllabus. I'll just give you a throw light on that. Okay, yeah. Can I have your
Okay,
name,
ma'am.
ma? You haven't turned on your video also. What is your name, ma?
Nishita, ma'am.
Nishita, right, right. Uh, so, so basically we have something called writing short text, writing an essay, shortening text for future use, assignments for assessment, mechanics of writing. This is the overview of your, the course content. And this is what we're going to take up in the next few classes. So today I'm just giving you the outer line, the skeletal format of what exactly is academic writing. Okay, right. So now success on your course. Now I'm just talking about the importance of academic style. So on your course is determined by your understanding of course content and your discipline. Your understanding is shaped by how you engage with course content. Your engagement with course content is assessed by what and how you communicate in your assignments. Now, this is what, in students' perspective, if I'm going to explain this point. Now, let me tell you, you take up a course material. For example, now you are here, Nishita, you take up your course content, and then what? How do you take it? How do you understand? That is how you're going to reciprocate in your assignment. That is how you're going to write it. Now, for example, there are, say, for around 50 students. Each one takes it, comprehends it in a different manner, right? And accordingly, they will write it down. So basically, by and large, when something has been taught, you have to make sure you read the content, you read the material, and listen to the teachings, listen to the lecture. Then you try to connect both of them and come to a point where you get a common understanding of what exactly it is. And then your understanding is shaped by how you engage with course content. Okay, and then and then how are you going to write it in the answer? And that is how, when the evaluator is correcting your answers, checking your answers, when it is not up to the mark, up to the point what we expect from you people, then that is how you tend to lose your marks. Right. Now, when I talk about the characteristics of academic style, when we talk about the style, see, first and foremost, think about it, talk about it, write about it. So these are the 3 things which go into it, like A, B, C: accuracy, brevity, clarity. When I talk about accuracy, now, all the information you provide must accurately reflect the content of your source material. Then keep it brief, including a wide range of material within your word count. Means there's no room to go off topic. That is, now, for example, when the speech is given, like vocal, when you are vocal, you tend to, deviate from what you are talking, actually giving a lot of examples. But when you are writing, you have to always stick to this. One is accurate, and you have to be very brief, because don't think your audience, I mean, the readers have that kind of patience to get into that material when it goes and runs into pages and pages. Then clarity is another important aspect, where you have to make sure the content of your essay is easy for your reader, not just the essay for that matter, any kind of formal writing. So you have to stick to the word limit. That is very important. That is why, if you've noticed, even in your school, maybe you would have had essays with a word limit. Okay. And your answers also with word limit. That you always have to train yourself. That is whatever you have to. Now, for another thing, if I remember, ICSC syllabus, where, we would train the students about this word limit such a way that we would make them count and strike off the extra ones. Now, what if the child had written the concept or the idea in the extra ones? He would be losing the marks. So, whatever you have to put it across, you ensure that it comes and falls within that word limit. So, that is very, very important. You have to train it in that manner. Now, coming to the clarity, make sure the content of your essay is easy for your reader to follow and understand. This is very important. Not just the essay for that matter, when you take up some short texts, short answers, or short kind of report for that matter, clarity should be there. So this ABC goes with any sort of academic writing. Now, what do these successful academic writers do? They read widely across a range of sources and take note of how arguments are presented and the ways in which the matter is structured. That is very, very important. Now, take notice of writing styles and conventions, how others have written, be influenced by the writers you enjoy reading. Next, write. Read your work critically. I mean, you should not read it as if from your point of view only. I mean, you should try to figure out some, kind of mistakes in that. Try to read it in a way that you have to figure out some mistakes or kind of point out something what has gone wrong there. Otherwise, it's not like, you find what you've written is absolutely correct and you find that, oh, right, my thing is absolutely right. And I am sure the people will accept what I've written. It's absolutely wrong. Make sure you make others also read it. Now, identify what you need to change to improve fluency, edit and rewrite it. That is very, very important. And first and foremost, you have to view it critically. That is very important, and learn new vocabulary. Have a systematic approach to help you memorize unfamiliar terms. Learning vocabulary is important. Again, when I say vocabulary, do not end up writing something full of jargons. Make sure it is not a complex vocabulary. It should be simple, straightforward, clear, brief, and to the point and crisp. That is very, very important. So do learn new vocabulary, especially the synonyms. You can use one word for the other. Synonyms, one meaning has several words. Get familiar with such things. Then comes your, 1 second. Right. So here comes, this is what I was just talking about, the new vocabulary. So how do you get to know about the new vocabulary? For that, you have to read a lot. Listen to certain, podcasts, or maybe you have to watch a few videos where you come across a lot of words which are, or maybe have a thesaurus at home. Maybe you can turn a page every day and try to read some words which are given, like, for, each meaning has several words, because, our English language is not a proper pure Germanic language where we have the descent is from, where other words have also crept into English language. That is how we have a lot of synonyms there. Next. Now, strategies for academic writing. Relevant, having relevance writing. Your writing should be clearly related to your essay. Question, make frequent references to the question. Okay, not just the essay. Now, please mind you, I'm talking about the academic writing where relevance is very, very important. For example, a simple word, I'll tell you, when you write an answer, first and foremost, what is it being instructed to you by your lecturer? First, read the question, try to understand the question. That is the most important point when you write an exam. See, most of the students, what do? They forget this relevance. Now, when a question says, critically evaluate or critically give the the summary of the, or critically evaluate this kind of a poem. Now how do these students take it? They just end up writing only the summary of the poem. That is, they didn't understand the question. The relevance is not there. Okay, so you have to ensure that you stick to the relevance of what you are writing. Okay, whatever you write, the relevance should be there. That is, you are clinging on to some kind of a support. Okay, you should not deviate from what you are actually intended to write. Then organized, develop a fluent narrative by linking the points you raise in a logical, consistent way. So this organization is very, very important. I mean, that is how we've been taught. When you write a letter also, a formal letter, for example, okay, and relevance is important there. Then organization of that, where you have the salutations, then you have the body, then you have the conclusion, all that in a kind of an organized manner. You just can't start with the body and then start with intro, then end up with intro and somewhere the conclusion in the middle. No, it can't be like that. So there is something called organized is nothing but the steps as you descend, okay, from the intro to the body to the conclusion. It's kind of a stepwise kind of a coherence. There should be a coherence. There should be a connection. Then follows academic conventions. When you have learn about the strategy, this is again another strategy for academic writing. For say, for example, you have the essays, introduction, middle section, conclusion, include a range of perspectives fully referenced again. Okay, then you have to follow these kind of conventions. Then formality, adopt a formal voice. This is very, very important. Unless and until you are writing an informal writing, like for example, you write a letter to your friend, which is informal in voice, or maybe some kind of a write-up for an article for your magazine, where it can be informal, need not be a formal voice. So where there and all, it is okay. But when you are writing something, a formal academic writing, you have to incorporate a formal voice. Then avoid trying to sound too clever or pompous. Clever and pompous, what does it mean? You're trying to boast it. I mean, exaggerate it. I mean, use a lot of hyperbolic statements there, right? And try to sound natural, right? That is very, very important. And moreover, it should convince your reader that you know what you are talking about. And think of the differences between the way you might talk with a friend over coffee and the way you might present yourself at a job interview. This should help get you in the zone. Next. Now, this is just an example for you people to understand between informal and being too informal and too clever. Okay, now it's clever. It's clear that the CEO of RBS rushed decision to buy ABN AMRO wasn't the smartest move. I mean, see, look at this. It's too informal. Or the combination of a domineering chief executive and overly compliant management team and a false sense of urgency were crucial in RBS' disastrous decision to acquire ABN AMRO. I mean, though the next one is formal, but it is too, I mean, full of jargons. I mean, it's too complex. Yeah. I think if you've ever heard about the speeches of Shashi Tharoor, I'm sure each one of us to, refer to a dictionary whenever you listen to a speech of Shashi Tharoor. Okay. So this is how it need not be too formal also, and too clever. The synthesis of solipsism with sync of psychophancy within RBS climate of illusory exigency against an impolitic acquisition of ABN AMRO. I mean, it's too, again, not the correct way. Right. Precision. Now, what is precision? I mean, you have to be precise, to the point, specific. This is what is called crisp. Okay, be specific. How many? When? Avoid vague generalities. Do not make things unnecessarily complex. Try to express ideas clearly. Don't use excessively long sentences or abstruse language. Provide specific details. Aim for fluent, clear descriptions. This is very, very important, being precise about something. Now, I think You will master the skill only in Pressy writing. Have you ever heard about writing a Pressy? Maybe in your intermediate and 10th standard, we had this, if you remember, Pressy writing. That is nothing but writing something precisely. I mean, you eliminate a lot of extra phrases, words from it to make sure it sounds to the point. That is called Pressy writing, and we can master it only by writing it with continuous practice. So whenever you write this academic thing, academic content, you have to be precise. Okay. Otherwise, what happens? The interest it kind of, the readers might lose interest in reading it. And also there is a possibility of you exceeding the word limit. There are many things if you are not precise about it. Again, these are a few examples for you to make a note of it. Many young people drink too much, imprecise. I mean, I'm not exactly mentioning too much. What does it mean? I do not know. 1 in 4, 16 to 25-year-old consume more alcohol than the government's recommended weekly maximum. Okay. And if it is, or 23% of people aged 16 to 25 consume more than 140 ml. This is too detailed. Okay. So you know where exactly you have to put a stop. Okay. You know where to exactly differentiate that. Right. Now, objectivity, again, avoid narrow subjectivity. Not everyone will agree with your argument. You have to develop a neutral voice in academic writing. Please do not take sides. That is very, very important. Now, for example, if I believe in something, I should not thrust that opinion onto them. Like when I'm writing an academic writing, it has to sound neutral. And even if you want to take stance in the argumentative essay where you come across, you try to argue upon a point, then you will take a stance, you take a stand on something. Then not just saying that it is I believe or there is nothing like you bring in facts, you bring in details about what exactly you feel that it has happened in that manner. Then you can support your statement with those kind
And
of.
ma'am,
Yes, dear.
reader also should understand what we are explaining about that content.
Exactly. That is very, very important. That's what I told you in the previous slide also. See, readers, when you see your point of view is like, you are putting it across in both the ways, in neutral way. Okay. Now, for example, Corona, when I talk about Corona, I will say that, yeah, it has brought both good and bad. Now, if I have to be very precise, what exactly the good things, where, you had some time to spend with your family members, where, the technological innovations have reached its peak, the usage of technical things. And then the bad thing was daily wage laborers who lost their jobs. I have to bring in the facts there for the reader to understand, oh, this is what has happened. So where I'm not taking a kind of a saying that, hey, that was totally bad. This is how it has become. I'm not trying to convince the reader that way. The reader has to understand what exactly is going on. Okay. So your aim is to show that you have read and, and then you have reached to certain conclusions. So this reading part is very, very important. Even prior to your writing, you have to, even if your conclusion is an open one, that is still a conclusion. At the end, I can even put it across saying that, see, this is what, these are the facts. This is what has happened. Okay. I'm trying to adopt a neutral voice unless and I'm trying to say that, I'm just vaguely leaving it to the audience. Let them take a stand about it, but make sure you are objective. What was it? And what did I put across to explain it to the reader? Has the reader understood it in a proper way? All that is your, it is your objective. Okay. And then the reader has to understand. You got my point? Am I clear, Ma? Did I make it?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. Very good. Next. Now, when I'm talking about the subjectivity, look at this. It's totally obvious that wealth needs to be distributed more fairly. See, this is like I'm bringing in my emotions here. Now, it is clear from the above discussion that without greater redistribution of wealth, world economic growth will slow. I mean, I'm making a statement here. There, I'm trying to bring it a lot of emotive kind of a statement. The next, the accumulation of capital by a small segment of the population correlates negatively with GDP growth. I mean, the objective is there, but it is not very clear because of too complex vocabulary there. So that is very, very important. Clarity. You are writing now here. Basically your aim is to give your readers the information that they need to make a judgment about the content of your writing. Okay, and don't try to bring in unnecessarily complex sentences and archaic terminology. So you are here to write to inform, not to impress. You may know what you mean, but will your reader? I mean, clarity should be there for that, for the reader to understand. Avoid making value judgments. Let your reader decide after considering the evidence you present. So our job is to bring in the clarity, clear picture, put it across. Whether the reader will understand. Now, for example, you watch a movie, you know? So the producer, he brings out the movie, right? The director, right? He brings out the movie. Now, while making the movie, he has the script, he has an objective, he has a clear aim. What exactly I have to bring in? He puts all those things and brings it out. Now, what happens? The audience watch the movie. Now, the movie is either it will hit the box office if the medium is clear. If the
clarity in the story.
Very good. Yeah, only if it is clear. Otherwise, see, people come out watching the movie saying that it was all a boring thing. I mean, they didn't understand what exactly he meant to convey. So it is lost. The aim or the objective is lost of the director there of the movie. So the clarity has to be there. That is very, very important when you take up this academic writing. Okay. And then again, there are quite a few reasons why micro SMEs often fail during their first year of operating. Or there are three main reasons. Now look at this next sentence. This is much clearer. Okay, rather than saying the first statement, there are three main reasons why micro. I mean, you are actually done a research on as to what has happened, where it has failed, and you have come up with the answer, the three main reasons. So this is more clear, right? So then the next one, signposting. That is, helps your reader to follow your argument, clarifies and confirms your sources, consolidates the points you are making. So for example, as you move between topics, your reader must follow your discourse and flow of argument. Now, signposting is nothing but they are the connecting phrases. Supposing you want to add something to your topic. Okay. Now you are arguing about something. So in the process, you might even say, in addition to it. So this is what, the reader will kind of get an idea. In addition to it. I mean, this is an additional statement which is given by the writer. Okay. In addition to it. Or you might even say, consequently, something has happened. Consequently, this is what has happened. Now the coronavirus, now the eruption of the coronavirus, consequently, which led to so and so, which resulted in so and so. I mean, these are nothing but they are signposts. I mean, that they lead the reader. So you have to be very clear where and when you have to use these signposts. Next, then again, hedging. Avoid overconfident, simplistic claims. There are at least two sides to every story. Now, hedging is nothing but you try to convince yourself to such an extent and go overboard, convincing the others also. I mean, you try to protect your argument, safeguard. I mean, avoid being overcautious. Say it how it is. Okay. If the evidence is inconclusive, you can state that further research is needed in the field. I mean, you are trying to say something and you are not very clear about it, but still somehow you want to put it across. You want to make it a point about it. And what you start doing it is you start convincing them without much evidence to it. So that is called hedging. I mean, you try to safeguard, you try to protect your version of what you are saying in that academic writing. Okay, right. Next.
Yes, ma'am.
Yeah. So explain yourself fully about it. Helps your reader to understand, shows your reader that you understand, nurtures debate and reflection, and avoids a soundbite style. Give all the details needed to follow your train of thought. Complex terms are easy to use, quote, but you need to show that you understand their meaning. And this is very, very important. One thing is you have to tell them what exactly you want to put it across. Now, when I say this is not the final thing, now to this, the other things are all connected. Like we have the precision, the clarity, the brief word limit, all those things are the preceding factors which I told you, they all follow this. So it helps your reader to understand, shows your reader that you understand, and it nurtures debate and reflection. Okay. And maybe after getting to know fully about what exactly you want to say, now they come up with their kind of debate, their kind of an argument. Okay. That is very, very important in a classroom. If you have noticed, in some of the classrooms, after teaching the lesson, you all put up with questions, isn't it? Don't you come up with questions and queries about certain aspect? So that will kind of uh, give uh, the feeling for the teacher that the students have understood. Now, otherwise, when you don't understand what I'm trying to explain, it will be a bouncer. Nobody will ask me a question about it. Yeah. So having a debate, an argument, or, it kind of nurturing such a thing, it only means that you could fully explain yourself about what exactly you want to tell something about it.
We have to explain the other person also without these all steps, ma'am.
No, I didn't get your point, Ma. Can you please repeat it? What exactly you're trying to say?
Ma'am, just now you said explain yourself, you said, no, ma'am.
Yes, Ma. Yes. Yourself
With
in the
all
sense, yeah, yourself in the
side,
sense, your mind, your thought process, and based on the evidence, based on the facts, you will explain yourself. You're getting my point? Now, for
yes,
example, again, I'll quote the example of some movie. Okay. Now, the director has, brought out a movie. Now, if he is very clear in bringing out his objective and aim into that, people will understand. Otherwise, I mean, he should be able to explain about. Now, for example, there is one movie called Balgam. Balgam, it conveys a message.
yes, ma'am.
It conveys a message to the audience. Now, the director and the producer are, they are clearly understood what exactly they want to convey to the people. Yes or no?
Yes, ma'am.
So the writing thing is such a complex thing. You should be able to explain about yourself also. I mean, yourself in the sense, I don't mean your personal self. I mean, what is your motive behind writing that? What is your aim? What is your objective of writing such an academic thing? Yourself means that. Getting my point?
Yes, ma'am.
Right. Great. So writing is a process. Okay. Now, improvement takes time and effort. Don't be hard on yourself. Stay focused and keep practicing. Make use of your feedback. And this feedback is very, very important for any kind of writing. Implement the necessary changes next time. Reread the essays you wrote last year. This will give you a clear sense of how your writing has improved. Okay. So, I'll stop this screen sharing here and I'll add up some more points to whatever I have explained. Right. Now, writing skill, when I talk about academic writing, so split it academic and writing. First and foremost, you have to master the art of writing. Writing skill, I'll tell you, there are so many, what you call how do I explain? There are so many, how do I put across that word? Disruptors. Like, for example, you have this WhatsApp, you have your technology in hand. People are hardly writing anything. Now, the writing skill has taken a backstage. Have you ever noticed, all of you? Now, we as teachers, we hail from our old school, right? Now, we are well versed with writing aspect. Now, the same thing we are trying to inculcate in the students, which is lacking in students. Why, because there are so many things in these days you have this technical things. I'll just make it as a speaker view. 1 second. Right. Now, tip of your finger, you have this WhatsApp. Now, the spellings also, most of them are very poor in their spellings of the words. Not just words, framing a sentence, even a grammatically simple, correct statement, it's very difficult. I don't know how to inculcate such a thing. So first and foremost, one has to master the art of writing. Writing is a skill. Now, when I say it is a skill, how do you improve a skill? Only by practice. It's not an innate talent. Please remember, nobody on the earth is born with a skill. They're all trained, they're all honed, they're all kind of given that kind of a practice, right? To learn and pick up this art of writing. Now, this writing skill, by the end of the school stage, that is by the time you reach 10th standard, probably you will finish learning all the nuances of this writing skill. But it's such a piteous thing that most of the students, fall into a category where they haven't learned or picked up this art of writing. Why? Because there are different ways of learning styles in students. Not all of them have this kind of a skill of writing. Some are good at reading, some are good at listening, some are good at, watching and learning something, reading, especially when it comes to reading. They look at something and grasp it quickly. So that is why writing is not, it's kind of a skill where everybody can master it equally. It depends upon, and the people who cannot have to practice it. That is the tip I can give you to master the skill of writing. You have to practice it. That's very, very important. Maybe every day, maybe a paragraph. And please remember, when you start to write, maybe you can start with a short text. Then later on, you can extend it. And because these days you have internet, you have a lot of information. It's an explosion of information. And it is so simple for people to cut, copy, paste. Whenever teacher gives you a write-up, this is what I face as a teacher in my school, in my college. Now, when I give an assignment to my students, what do? They come up with cut, copy, paste and a Word document, take a print and give me. Then I had to become a little more smarter. Then what did I do? Then I said, no, hereafter I don't want prints. I want you people to write it handwritten. Something, we have brain cells that is called pia matter in the tips of our fingers. So olden days, we were supposed to write imposition. That was our punishment. It's like punishment in a positive way. We were punished for something, for not doing something. So, for not doing our homework, we were made to write it 100 times. Tomorrow, I will submit my homework, write it 100 times. Why? We have never realized that tips of our fingers have pia matter. What is this pia matter? It's a brain cells, gray matter. And that is the reason why even now, when I kind of misspell a word, to get the right spelling, I take up a paper and quickly write it down. If I'm unable to recollect the spelling quickly, if I'm confused, I pick up a paper and write it down. When I write it down, quickly the word comes, the spelling of the word comes to my mind. Why? Because my fingers have picked up the spelling of the word without my knowledge. So please remember, you have to forget that cut, copy, paste. Take a pen and a paper, start writing. So that is the reason why I always tell my children, even back home, I tell them, even if you have to write something like to-do list, you have these priorities. Every time you, you prioritize things. Today, what should I do? Tomorrow, what should I do? Write it down. See, let me tell you, initially, you may not be grammatically correct, but over a period of times, you should have drafts. First draft, second draft, and the final draft. So by the time you reach the final draft, it is absolutely, I mean, I'm sure you will end up writing a correct, grammatically correct language. Okay, statements or sentences. So first and foremost, practice writing every day. Then when I talk about academically writing, when you happen to write, when you jump into writing academic works, then I'm sure it will become easy. Now, for example, you tell a toddler to run. The toddler doesn't even know how to walk in a proper manner. He's little wobbly. I mean, he's like swinging and swaying here and there. But then after some time with the practice, even when you cycle, initially you keep falling and you just try to cycle it. But then over a period of time, after the practice, you master cycling. Even the toddler starts walking properly. And at times, even after that, he might even try to run also. We never know. So please keep this in mind. When you want to write something, a piece of work, first you start practice writing. In the initial practice, maybe 2 or 3 sentences, writing about yourself in a diary, or what have you done in a day today. Then you switch on to the formal writing. Okay, but the formal writing has to, I mean, you have to bear lot many things when you write formal writing. Formal, you should never sound informal. The tone should be formal, the vocabulary simple, it should be precise, and clarity should be there. Watchful about the word limit. All such things you have to bear in mind. So initially start writing, pick up a pen, start writing a story, a small story about yourself, or what you have experienced today in your life. I mean, probably in your day today. Okay, so that is how slowly, bit by bit, you can jump onto the academic writing. And I'll tell you, now the world is full of, in demand of the people who are good at this academic writing. Let me tell you, people are all looking for this academic writers who are good at this kind of writing. You know why? Everything needs human beings to first and foremost bring out this kind of a material. See, for example, you have these manuals. When you buy something, you have a manual where it's written by people only. Content writing. Then you have this legal documents written by people. Okay, and you have so many internet websites. You have blogs written by people. Okay, so please start writing, start practicing. Then you will definitely master this art of writing, and that will fetch you. That's kind of a stepping stone for your career. This is what I can suggest, and this is my tip from my end. Anything from your end, please, you can ask me. I can also explain in Telugu if you haven't understood any part of it. You want me to explain in Telugu any bit of it? See, let me tell you, why am I sticking to this language? Because listening and speaking and writing in the same language will kind of, improvise your understanding skills on this language. Now, what if I switch my code? I mean, probably in Telugu. So then again, interlinking Telugu and then English, that becomes a little tough. So even at home, when you are thinking, please try to think in English only, not in Telugu. Okay. When you're about to speak in English, don't think in Telugu and then translate it into English. No, think in English, speak in English, then it will become easy for you to write in English. Okay. So this is my suggestion for you. Anything else you would like to ask me in the class today? I can explain in Telugu. So the next classes will be taking up the rest of the things, like writing the short text, how to write, what are the things you have to keep in mind, writing an essay, what are the things. So I'll be like, in detail about these things I'll be taking. Now, this was a tour which was taken up for the entire course. Okay. Then how do you shorten the text? Okay. How do you take up the assignments for assessments? Then in the 5th block, you have mechanics of writing. Anything else from your end? Are you okay with my explanation? Yeah. Any doubts? What do I assume? Please unmute your mics. When a chance is given, you have to speak. When I'm asking you something, you have to reciprocate. You have to give me your feedback. Then I'll feel nice. Nothing?
Nothing, ma'am. Everything is clear.
Oh, makes me very happy. Okay, thank you so much. Yes, dear. Tell me.
Ma'am, page number which we have completed
It's not page number. It's like overall, and maybe the first module I'll be starting it tomorrow, and maybe I'll complete the second. First and second I'll be touching upon tomorrow. But let me tell you now, that good thing you've asked me. I think I have touched the second module first. Just now what we have learned was the second module. Okay.
Okay, ma'am.
Right? It was something about essay. Yeah. So yes, tomorrow I'll start with the first module. If time permits, I will get into the second module because we have already done the second today. So maybe I'll finish off these two tomorrow. Then coming back again next Friday, Saturday, Sunday, we will finish the remaining 3 modules. Fine. Meanwhile, you please read the book. Only if you read and listen to my lecture, it will be more clear. Okay, ma? All of you?
Okay.
Okay. Right. See you all in the next class. Okay. Yeah. Thank you so much.
Thank you, ma'am.
Welcome, ma. Welcome.
Okay, ma'am. Thank you.
Yeah, welcome.